Hello, friends. A very good morning to all of you. Today we have with us Hitesh Vashist. He's a wonderful meditation master and he has extensively trained in various healing modalities like past life regression, inner child work, rebirthing breath work, ancestral healing. So he and his wife, Shubhangi, they have been extensively conducting more healing workshops and meditation workshops throughout the India and across the globe. And he is also the author of the best-selling book, Sundaram Speaks. So it is the conversation with an awakened, what you call channeling master, Sundaram. And he has internationally registered consciousness coach and certified coach. So he has doing more than 5,000 workshops and he has conducted more than 5,000 workshops. We welcome you, Hitesh ji. Hello.
Thank you, Sri Lakshmi. Thank you for having me. Namaste, everybody. Thank you. It's a pleasure to join you all here, and I'm grateful to this technology platform that gives all of us the opportunity to come together and have a chit chat, exchange views, and learn so much from each other. So, from the bottom of my heart, I thank you all for joining me here, and thank you, Pyramid Meditation UK team and Sri Lakshmi for giving me this opportunity. So today's topic is going to be about sacred wounds, right? So if you all are with me and you are able to listen to me, I would request you if you can mention hi in the comment section or hello, or just give a thumbs up so that I get to know that you and I are on a common platform, right? And when we begin.
Yeah, Rajshekhar ji has saying he's saying welcome Hitesh ji in the chat. Yeah.
Okay, all right. I cannot see right now.
Hi Hitesh, welcome,
Hello.
and thank you for taking session.
Thank you very much.
Looking forward to.
Thank you, namaste. Can I have the spotlight on my window? I'm not able to have that.
You mean you're unable to see the chat?
Yeah, that I got.
Yes.
Yeah, set it up.
Yeah.
That's wonderful. So, hello, hi Bindu, hi Bhagya. Wonderful to have you here. And hi Kulaji, hello. So today's topic that we are going to, spend time on is about sacred wounds. And most of the time, what happens is that, uh, you know, this topic brings a lot of contradiction, wherein you have something called sacred, and on the other side, you have something called wounds. How can our wounds be sacred? Usually, we have scared, the wounds that are scaring in nature. How our scaring wounds can be sacred. That is what we are trying to, understand through this session, and then get into a practice, get into a guided meditation so that we can integrate the whole thing within us. There is this old saying which is given by Mark Twain, and he says that there are two things that are permanent, which everybody would go through. And those two things are, one is death. Obviously, everybody cannot deny the truth of death. And the other truth he said was taxes. He said that you cannot deny taxes, right? Although there is a little bit of humor in this, this quote that he made, but there is another thing that we all cannot deny, and that is pain. There is nobody in the world that has not gone through the pain, right? And our life, if has the good moments, it also has the painful moments. And these painful moments are something wherein, the memories or the incidents wherein we've had a tough childhood, or we've gone through a severe relationship, or some physical nature, physical health issue, some financial health issue, some situations with our own self in our own life. This is what the pain brings to us, right? And when this pain becomes really long standing with us, which means that it does not move, it becomes like a hard rock, not ready to move here and there, then it becomes a wound, right? So pain everybody can have, but when they are not able to move that pain, when they are stick to the pain, when they are, not wanting to let go of the pain, then it becomes a wound. So friends, many a times we feel that wound is something, a bruise or a scar, anything on my body which is physical in nature. More than that, our deepest of wounds are actually emotional in nature, right? You would see that the wounds that are physical in nature, you can see them and you can put an ointment on them and can work on it. We all are aware of our physical health, but the emotional and mental wounds are usually not seen. They just operate in your life very silently, right? And you aren't aware when are you operating through those wounds. You don't know how those wounds are playing in your life. It is simply, not known, unless and until one begins to turn within, one begins to understand their own self, and one begins to know their own self by way of these wounds. That is how the whole thing happens then. So our, as I said, that there are these emotional wounds. So there are many ways wherein these emotional wounds are created in our life. I'm sure, you all have had your own pieces wherein you created your own mental wounds, you created your own emotional wounds. And these wounds have actually made us who we are today. So today the intent is to understand these wounds in a better way, because, who likes the wound? Nobody, right? But this statement only stands with someone who try to understand the wounds at a gross level. Right? Today we are going to understand it at a deepest of level, because in the journey of your soul and at your soul's perspective, these are not wounds. These are actually sacred in nature. They are making you graceful. They are making you humble. They are making you more beautiful, right? And these are the deepest of investments one can ever do in their own evolution. That is the beauty of wounds, right? So I am definitely going to share some views as far as the healing of these wounds is concerned, right? Which are going to be destructive in nature, which means that whatever we've studied so far, it is going to chop off all that and is going to give us a new perspective on understanding that. So let me begin with, this idea wherein we say heal the wound, heal the wound. Oh, I need to heal my wound. Well, let me tell you that you don't need to heal the wound. I repeat, you don't need to heal the wound. Wound itself gets dissolved when you sit with it. Right? When you are present to the wound, it itself dissolves. So to give you an example, what happens is, there is this issue that came in your life, this problem, let's say this headache came in your life, and you are trying to struggle with this headache. There is this nasty boss that you have in your office, and then you're trying to struggle with this boss, right? You want, when will this get over? I want it here and now to get over, right? What comes between you and your healing is your own desperation to heal this wound, right? So at one side, you're trying to heal, but on the other side, behind this healing, you're carrying the desperation to heal, which is what is kind of a barricade in your own evolution. And since you all are aware of the law of attraction, how the energy works, you send desperation, and the more desperation comes back to you. So this loop keeps playing with you. It never stops. You give it, and it comes back, and the desperation makes you more desperate. And then you keep playing out of it, and then you are trapped in that wound, as if you're not able to get out of the wound, and it actually scares you then, rather than transmuting into, which we call as sacred, right? So in order for us to heal the wound, we need to let go of our desperation to heal, right? We need to sit with this wound. We need to tell ourselves, it's okay. It's all right. It's all right if I have this headache. It's all right if I have a nasty boss. It's all right that I don't share a good relationship with somebody. It's all right that I am going through a financial turmoil. It's all right that there is a lockdown and I am trapped at my own home. It's all right that I cannot see my friends and family. When we say it's all right, this becomes an acknowledgement to that wound. So, because usually what happens is we never acknowledge our wound. We are in the rat race of healing this wound, and it would never heal because you haven't seen the presence of this wound. I meet many people, those who are, into the business or into the work of wellness, and many of them, they want to work on their obesity. They are going through such heavy challenging challenges wherein they want to cut their fat and trying to be in the shape. All what they are doing is perfect. I am absolutely okay with that, but what matters is, where do they start from? They start with lot of non-acceptance, non-acknowledgement of their own present state, which means they don't accept that uh, they can be obese, right? They believe, how can this obese happen to me? And then they are in this whole rat race, whole desperation to heal it. They heal it for a while, and then they get back to where they started from. This is what happens when we don't acknowledge the presence of something, right? You heal it for some time, but then you come back again to square one. So, friends, if you really wish to heal something in your life, if you really wish to dissolve something in your life, you must first acknowledge the presence of it. You must learn to sit with it. You must learn to feel as if it is sitting right up here in your lap like a child, and you're able to breathe into it. Unless and until we do that, it cannot move. It cannot, transmute into something beautiful. So acknowledgement is the first step, wherein we learn to let go of our desperation, and we say, okay, this is it. I acknowledge it. And now what is the next step? What can I do? Then all the steps will open up on its own. you know. So this becomes the major work in your arena of healing your wound and shifting them into a sacred stuff. I would say almost 70% of your work. So for somebody who wants to heal, become thinner, they first need to accept their obesity. Somebody who wants to heal cancer, they first need to accept cancer, right? And what level of acceptance you carry if you can't even speak the name of that thing? I have seen many people who carry cancer, they don't even say the name of it. This shows your own level of acceptance to it. People, those who carry asthma, they don't even take a name of it. They would say dash dash dash, such and such illness, that illness, this illness. Your acceptance comes when you begin to acknowledge it fully And naming it is one of the most important things. Say that it is there. Say that it troubles me. And the more you acknowledge it, then it opens a doorway for you to heal, right? You cannot knock at the door of healing if you haven't walked through the doorway of acknowledgement or acceptance, right, friends? So, this is the first rule, first way to heal and transmute our wounds into sacred wounds, right? And the second thing which I would like to tell you about healing or dissolving is that healing is not about gaining something. Healing is always about releasing something, right? I have seen people wherein, they are struggling with something and they try to gain, new things, one thing at a time, one course after the other, one workshop after the other. And this, well, there is no wrong in attending the workshops, but if you are intellectually absorbing it, it's not making you empty. It's just filling you with more of clutter. How many of us, are actually implementing, all the workshops that we've learned from, right? This itself speaks about how much loaded are we in our head with all these, intellectual definitions and, all these terminologies from the spiritual world. We know all the, definitions, right? Starting from spirituality to spiritual bypassing to, Merkaba and divine activation, DNA activation. We know everything, but how much are we doing and operating from it? So if we really wish to heal, dear friends, we need to understand that healing is about not filling ourselves with, all these heavy definitions. You don't have to intellectually grow. You have to grow in your heart, which means you have to take the essence out of these learnings and implement it in your life, right? And you learn to become more childlike, right? You learn to become more childlike, who is innocent, playful, who's more humble, who's able to trust life. That is what the learning of every workshop, every healing modality is, right? And if we are able to operate that in our life, do you not think that the wounds would never stay as wounds? They would make us sacred anyhow, right? And the third thing, which is very important for us to, transmute our wound into sacred wounds, is that healing happens when we meet the meaning of the wound. So for example, in your life, you you attracted a father who is alcoholic, right? And your father has given you immense level of wounds when you were growing up as a child, and it continues to happen the same. I mean, you're going through those pains one after the other, and it happens. But have you ever gone into a state wherein you're trying to ask yourself this question: what is it that my soul trying to learn by attracting a father who is alcoholic? Have you ever tried to find the meaning behind it? Because we all are spiritual beings and we all know the spiritual laws. And these laws that say that nothing in your existence comes as a waste. Everything has a meaning, you know, right? Starting from the color of skin you have, the breath that you have, the kind of situations you have, people you meet, the people you don't meet, they all have, something in some meaning in your existence. Be it good that you see, be it bad that you see. They are there in your existence, and they exist because you have chosen, you have attracted them. So how many of us have actually gone to understand the meaning of these wounds? right? Because that is where, our whole healing starts. I have, met people, those who carried, these emotional wounds. Let me just give you an example wherein, I met this person who came to me some time back, and he said that, while I was 8 years old, I Jesus came in my dream, right? And Jesus came in his dream, and he said that you are here for a divine purpose. That is what a dream said. And then Jesus vanished. And he said the moment I got up from that dream, my whole life became topsy and turvy. It means that I began to experience a lot of upheavals in my life, and a lot of challenges came up. He's 40 right now, and he is going through, all those challenges. So he wanted to understand what could be my soul's perspective. What is the meaning of having these, right? Having this dream and then going through all these turmoils. So, I do this reading called Soul Matrix reading, wherein, I connect with my own higher self, and I tune into your own vibrational field of your soul, and I help you understand your soul's template better. So it's a channeled reading wherein, I help, I access your past lives. I help you understand your soul lessons, your soul gifts and talents that you're carrying in this lifetime. So I was doing a reading for him, and I was drawn to this conversation which he was having with his higher self, wherein his higher self said that, you have given up in your past life, and this lifetime is wanting you to, and once you have given up, you have to do something, because you just can't be giving up in your life all the time. And then he said, yes, I understand that in the last life I committed a suicide, right? And this time I want to add some motivation in my life, so that, I'm able to sail through my life, and I don't just give it up by, finishing it up. And then his higher self asked that, how do you plan to do that? He said that, in this lifetime, since I know, even, the giving up has brought a lot of challenges for this current lifetime. So I want, before I get into absorbing or confronting all these challenging lessons in my life, I would like a divine being visit me in my dreams at the age of 8, and that being tells me that I have a special mission to fulfill in life. So this dream would be such, it would be so vivid, it would be so profound, that I am able to, sail through my life just by completely anchoring this dream, uh, and this dream is going to lead me to live my life fully, and despite of all the challenges that I go through. And this is the dream which is going to, initiate a spark of knowing myself, knowing thyself, and this will initiate a spark of turning within, right? So friends, once, this awareness, this conversation was shared with him, a deep level of calmness begin to show up in his body, right? Can you see what is the meaning behind having such challenges now? So same way, friends, the way he can understand, there are many meanings that we all can understand from our own wounds. Every wound in our life carries a meaning, right? What you are today is not because of the good things. Of course, they added, but the challenging times that you have gone through have equally contributed in who you are, right? It has made you more graceful, more humble. Many of you opened the door of turning within, opened the door of spirituality by going through this pain, right? By meeting this pain. And it has given altogether a different meaning into your life, right? Know that this word PAIN, Sundaram, my higher self usually tells me, and this expanding form of PAIN, he says, path, path of awakening inside. P stands for path, awakening stands for A, inside is IN, PAIN, path of awakening inside, right? So your pain is actually offering you the path of awakening inside, dear friends, right? So it's okay to have pain, right? And it is up to us. Do we make it a suffering, right? Because when you stick to the pain, when you don't move from the pain, when you don't acknowledge the pain, when you deny the acceptance or the presence of the pain, right? Then it becomes a suffering, right? Suffering is our choice, right? So that is what the meaning behind, the pain is. So, so far I've shared these three, you know, pointers for you, wherein we say that healing is not about gaining, it's about receiving, it is about releasing. Healing is about learning to let go of our desperation to heal. And the third is that, healing happens when we meet the meaning. So now at this moment, I would like to ask you some questions. If you have some questions right now, let us get into it, and I would be open to answer those questions for you before we move further, right? So I invite you to write down your questions in the comment section, and there we go. And while many of you are writing on this, while you are in the process of asking questions, I would also like to talk about the trust, right? Many of us, when we go through some problem in our life, let's say, you have a friend, and this friend with whom your friendship stayed for good 20 years, and all of a sudden, this person has done something which is kind of shattered you within. It has broken your trust, right? And you feel betrayed and cheated. What happens is, such incidents try to break our trust, and we get into a zone wherein we don't allow ourselves to trust further, right? I'm sure you all must have experienced it. And there is this question which goes in your head: what if somebody breaks my trust again? How will I handle this betrayal, right? And when we move with this question in our head, then we become very cautious of our life, dear friends. Then we are like, we try to take very cautious steps which are, drenched in the energy of fear, because we want to save ourselves from, getting into that trap again. But friends, we must understand that there are two levels of trust. One level is the secondary level, wherein, you have people, your loved ones, your family members, your neighbors, strangers. There is nobody in the world who has not experienced the breach of trust in the secondary circle, which means through friends, family, relatives, bosses, colleagues. All of them at some level, they have had the breach of trust. But you just can't stop here. And what we usually do, we stop. If you begin to stop here, you are actually stopping the flow of universe also. You are stopping your ability to receive the gifts from the universe also, because the gifts are not going to drop from the sky, right? They are going to come through the medium of other people. So for example, you badly need financial help in your business, and you're asking the universe, oh, please help me, please help me. I'm ready to receive. One fine day you speak about this to your friend, and your friend says, I am ready, let me invest in your business, or let me you can borrow it from me. And then you say, you fear, how can I ask, and what if this person asks something unethical from me, and what if he fights for the money with me. Then what happens is, you are stopping the flow of universe. It is the universe which is trying to give to you through the medium of your friend, right? Only people can give to us. There is no other way of receiving from the universe, right? So you just can't stop in the secondary circle. You must come in the primary circle, and this primary circle of trust is built up by the universal field, dear friends. And this universal field says, hey, look, I understand that you have gone through the breach of trust in the secondary circle, but don't you see I am still taking care of you? Don't you see that I still offer you what you need? Don't you see that you are hale and hearty? You're breathing, you're smiling, right? You have friends, you have family. What else do we need from the universe? So instead of just staying in the secondary circle and stopping to trust, I invite you all to come in the primary circle and begin to trust, right? Don't let your ability to trust stop. Of course, you have your own level of discernment, You just can't trust anybody who says, oh, jump from the fifth floor, right? And you will be alive. You can't trust that, okay? Because you need to use your own discernment. But there are many other things that from our level of discernment, we can begin to trust, right? Healing happens when we begin to trust. Healing happens when we begin to trust our wound, okay? So I have some questions to answer. Let me just pick those questions. And this question is, please explain more about Sundaram and how to stay more grounded. So, well, Sundaram is my parent soul. It is my the part of the consciousness that I am a fragment of. We call it a higher self, oversoul, a parent soul, right? And I connected to this energy, 2 years back, and through a session which I was going with Dr. Newton. And while going through that session, this energy really showed up in my own being. And since then, I have been very, very regular in speaking and conversating with Sundaram. And my working has made me realize that Sundaram comes from the collective of the Mother Kali energy and Lord Dattatreya, right? So most of the teachings, most of the learnings that he shows up and he offers me are inspired from the space of the Mother and Mother Kali and Father Dattatreya. So it speaks a lot on the life after death. It speaks a lot about how to see beauty in one's life, right? In fact, this sacred wound, how it how it comes to me is only from the space of Sundaram, right? Because it has helped me to see beauty in my own life. And when I have learned to see beauty in my own life, it inspires me, it invites me, it welcomes me to share it with the world and change their own perspective of looking at their own wounds, right? And so this is how I began to speak with Sundaram. And every day I connected with this energy for the initial 9 months, close to 9 months. And one fine day, it just told me that, you now need to write a book. So I was like kind of baffled. How can I write a book? But what happened, I started to write, and I wrote 40,000 words in 20 days, right? And it just flowed. I had nothing to do, and I just wrote, and wrote, and this just took the shape of a book on its own, And it was my very first experience of writing a book. I've never worked on, of course, I've written articles, and I write extensively on the Facebook and other social media platforms, but never in the shape of being an author. I've ever come. And so, right, starting from the contents and going through, all the pages and writing the chapters, it flowed on its own, and the book went for the editing, and what I realized that this editing was supposed to be done by an editor from the US, and I was kind of little nervous as to how is she going to react to the whole thing, because editors' way of looking at things, the things are a little different. They are going to read the whole book. They are going to see that is it reader friendly and has it been put in the right order. So but I was surprised to see that apart from the punctuation and all the grammatical stuff, she did not move anything an inch, right? And in fact, she wrote me that I am not the one who would ever pick this book up from the shelf, given that it is not my area of interest. But the way it has been written, it is not easy for me to keep it down. And she was supposed to do this editing task in 30 days, and she did it just in 5 flat days, right? So there are many stories, and there are so many things that I have learned from Sundaram, and so many things that have come to me from this space of Mother Kali. Recently, Sundaram has channeled a message on the current times, and so there are two messages that he has spoken on the current times, and how this reset, he terms this lockdown as a reset. He says is the divine reset, right? And he says that this reset is basically asking the reverence of the feminine energy, right? So it does not mean that it is just speaking about the females. It is speaking about the energy of feminine, which is available in each one of us, right? And it, because over the journey of our own, evolution and all the outer revolutions the human being has created in the world, we have moved away from our own self. We have rejected our own emotions, our own feelings, our own wounds, right? Which is what has taken us away from our feminine self, right? And this Sundaram's message speaks about the feminine energy. Sundaram's message speaks about how this epidemic is actually a fight by one species, which the universe is trying to exclude from the from our system, and there are many species that humans have excluded over the period of time in our own evolution. And every time we pick up a new animal to be excluded, and this is what the epidemic is about, right? So I invite you, if you wish to read those messages and go through the meditations that are being given by Sundaram, which are the Divine Reset series. It is a series of 7 meditations to help you sail through challenging times, right? Anybody who's going through any type of challenging times can go through these 7 meditations, and I'm sure your perspective of changing and looking at seeing and looking at your life will shift in a big way, right? And maybe in the end I will definitely share the YouTube channel that you can all visit. But for just for your reference, it is called Life Here, HERE, and now. Life here and now, NOW. So you can log on to the YouTube and look out for this YouTube channel, and you will see a lot of meditations out there and Sundaram's messages, and just try absorbing those. And thank you for that. Thank you for asking me that question. Right. And the next question this person has asked me is, how can I stay grounded? So, dear friends, in order for us to stay grounded, the most important principle is to understand that you have to live your spirituality in your life, right? Grounding is tough to happen when we feel spirituality is different and living life is different. They both are, different sides of a coin. They belong to the same coin, right? So if you delve into spirituality so that you can make your practical life better, that is what is going to make you grounded, right? And there are other tips, other tools, other ways to also ground yourself. Of course, one is giving yourself this intention. The second is connect more with the mother earth. And Sundaram's message on the mother earth, it can really ground you. It can really help you to understand what is happening to the mother earth at this moment. And walk bare feet on the ground, work with clay, hug trees, speak to plants, right? This is a very grounding exercise, right? And I also invite you to clean your bathroom. That is going to be an immensely grounding exercise. Clean the mirrors and mop the floor, right? And take a broom, clean your vacuum cleaning, all these things. If you do it every day, it is going to be really grounding in nature, right? So that's how you can work on it, right? And I take this question which has been sent to me, that how to expand group consciousness. So Raghav, the group consciousness is basically the summation of individual consciousness, right? Many individual consciousness. So what are you doing at this platform is basically you are trying to expand your consciousness at your own level, right? I'm sure this is what you're doing, right? You're trying to absorb something new. You're trying to understand that, whatever clutter I have, I need to let it go. And when you let it go, simply the love that you actually are, it begins to emerge. It begins to surface in yourself. And that is what is kind of expanding your own consciousness. The moment you feel love, you feel joy, right? It's the total expansion that you are experiencing. So when a person experiences the expansion in their own consciousness, it doesn't stop there, right? They are naturally drawn to contribute into the group consciousness. In fact, you are already doing it. Be it you expand your consciousness, be it you don't expand your consciousness, you're actually getting into either expanding or contracting the consciousness, right? So if you wish to expand, just work on your own consciousness, and ultimately you will be drawn to expand the consciousness of group on its own. It's very natural, right? It's going to happen very naturally. All your gifts, all your expansions and talents cannot just be restricted to you, because we are eternal beings. We are more than this physical body, right? So it is bound to move out of your physical body. It is bound to touch the plants. It is bound to touch your family members. It is bound to touch, right, the universe and other living beings, right? So this is the way we can expand. Okay, dear friends, so I think this is wonderful. And so Susant writes that even though lockdown happening, God-given chance to change, sometime it is challenging, as consciousness cannot focus due to day-to-day materialistic things as a family life? Is there steps beginner and later advanced consciousness, and is there age limit? How to take this great advantage to bring to the family? So what I understand from your question is that you understand that, this is the time for us to change, but at times we go back to where we started from, right? That's what you are trying to ask. And how can we help our family members, to increase their own awareness? So let me tell you, dear friend, that you know spirituality is not that you just have a lesson and you have read the lesson and your work is done, you close the chapter. We must learn to practice it, we must learn to repeat it, we must learn to utilize it in our life in big ways. And that is what is needed at this time also. So for example, if you know that this time is the time to change, you must sit with it, you must look within and find out the ways how it can give you an opportunity, a possibility to shift your own self. How can you become a better version of your own self in these times, right? History is the proof of it. Or the times when our economies, our people have gone through a slump, you know those are the times when one of the best things have happened, the most creative things have taken birth in the times of slump, right? This itself is a proof, right? This company Walt Disney, it came into the time of slump, right? Look at the level of creativity somebody thought during those times, right? So we all can have the ability to be creative, churn our creative juices in this time, and know that when we do it, right, when we serve ourselves as an example, our family will learn on its own, right? We don't have to go and be pressurizing everybody. We have to walk by our own example, we have to lead by our own example, we have to walk our talk. And when we do that, naturally the people will get inspired to do that and work on it. In my family, I belong to a family which was very religious. My mother and I had been an ardent follower of Lord Shiva. As a child, I would go to temple and offer milk and honey and curd and all these things to Lord Shiva. Of course, it gave me immense amount of you know energy into my own being. But as soon as I began to meditate, you know what I saw, that I could form a deeper connection with the Shiva, right? And I didn't need that. And what I saw, that even when my family saw me meditating and they saw that I reaping the benefits, they saw me that there's something shifting in me. Just by seeing my own example, they all shifted. Today at this time, my whole family is a meditator. My mother, my father, my sister, of course, my wife, Shubhangi, we all meditate in our own zones, our own ways, right? But yes, we've understood that the idea is more to turn within, right? So by changing ourselves, we can change the world, not only just family, right? Okay. So uh, for a beginner to start daily, I would just say meditate every day. You must make a routine to turn within, and meditation is one of the best ways for you to speak to your soul and listen to your own self and understand this little voice in you, right? Meditation is one of the best ways, and it is completely powerful, right? Right, to help you. Okay, dear friends. So now I invite you for this meditation where I'm going to take you through, this journey of healing, or transmuting your wounds, your scared wounds into sacred wounds, right? So if you all are ready, I would like you to just mention yes in the comment section so that we begin. Perfect, Shashank. Great. Yes, great. Wonderful. Okay. So Rajsekhar also wants me to speak about why the problem came in my life, right? So first of all, we must understand that problem is our definition, right? It is a terminology which is given by the human mind, right? Soul doesn't have a problem. Soul always sees something as an investment. So I invite you to, rather than saying problem, I invite you to say this as a challenge, a possibility, an opportunity, or an investment that you are trying to do. Because the moment you shift into these definitions, you will see your energy will shift, right? And you will gather the strength of your soul to go through it, right? Secondly, why do we put these things in our life? Now, you tell me, for you to move from class 10 to class 11, right? What do you go through? You go through a test. Can you move from, upgrade yourself from class 10 to class 11 without a test? Of course, this lockdown is an exception right now. But yes, you have to go through a test. The problems are actually the test of your enlightenment. I repeat, you encourage problems in life, you encourage challenges in your life because they are a test of your enlightenment. Okay? Okay. Very good, dear friends. So now let us close our eyes and let's begin with this meditation. I would give you enough opportunity to ask me more questions in the end. So don't worry if I haven't answered any of the questions in between. So I would just like you to just simply close your eyes and take 3 long, deep breaths. Take 3 long, deep breaths, breathing in from your nose, holding it for a while, and breathing out from your mouth.